Hey, Magic Makers, it's Kim here, and I wanted to pop in. And right now, I want to talk about fitness motivation. And I wanted to bring this conversation up because here we are. It's summer, and summer is when I feel like our motivation is like kind of like a roller coaster is the best way to describe it. We're like climbing, climbing, climbing. Soon as like June, July drops off, and then we're like, oh, we'll pick it back up when school starts in September or whenever you say that you'll pick it back up. So here I wanted to say, how do we keep that like fitness mojo, that fitness juju going, right? How does that happen for us? And so the first thing I always ask my clients, they'll come to me and they'll say, be excited about a fitness program or whatever. And I'm like, all right, let's run it through the reps formula. Because if in these 4 steps, if there is any kink in that chain, guess what? It's not going to work. And I don't say that to discourage you. I say it because I don't want you to keep repeating the same patterns, the same mistakes, right? Because like when we repeat mistakes, it's twofold. One, we see it as evidence that, oh, I wasn't supposed to make this happen. And two, we look at it as a lesson. And I want to say 90% of the people that I work with, they look at it as, this is how it is. I'm just a failure. It's never supposed to be like this. So let us regroup and start running things through the reps formula so that before we take off, we go in open-minded. We go in and be like, hey, is this going to work for me? All right, so here's how it works. Okay, it starts also, I've done a whole episode on it. So what I'll do is I'll link to it in the show notes. So that way, if you want to listen to it again, refresh your memory, you can. All right, how it works is what you're trying to achieve realistic. Okay, so think about it. One of my new clients, she came to me. She's got a lot of weight to lose, and she said, all right, I just need your help with the nutrition. Great, I can help you with that. She's like, because I signed up for the 6-week boot camp class, and I'm going to do that in addition to working with you for nutrition. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, have you been working out before? And she's like, well, no, but I'm going to do it. I need the commitment. So the first question I always ask, is it realistic for you? For you to go from 0 to 60, is that realistic? Is a 6-week commitment to a boot camp style workout, is that going to be realistic? And that's only a question that you can answer yourself. When I ask my questions of clients, it's not with judgment. I just want to open your eyes because I know we all do it. We all get all hopped up and we're ready to rock and roll. And then all of a sudden the reality sets in. I used to teach a 6-week boot camp class. And the first week or two, everyone was like, yeah, rah, rah, shish, kumbah. Then week 3, week 4, and the numbers just started to drop off because the commitment was too much. I went in hot and heavy and I couldn't sustain it. So that's why I ask, is it realistic for you to look at your life and say, is it realistic? Second, are you excited about it? Is she, and I said, well, the names have been changed to protect the innocent. Let's call her Linda. I was like, Linda, like, so are you excited about it? She's like, well, in the brochure, it said I could lose 30 pounds in 6 weeks. I'm like, okay, so that's great. The brochure is awesome. But are you excited? Because if you are not excited that every time you go to that class 6 days a week for 6 weeks, guess what? You are going to find a way to pull the ripcord on that. Okay. And then preemptive planning. So this is 6 days a week. What is your schedule? Do you have a flexible schedule that, you pretty much, can determine your own destiny? Or do you have a schedule where like, you have that boss who at 4 p.m. is like, hey, can you make this happen? And you're trying to get to class for 5:30. So, that's something to look at. What about, do you travel? Do you travel for work? Do you travel for pleasure? Does that factor into it? Do you have kids? Like what ways can you plan around this workout or plan it into your life? And then lastly, is it sustainable, right? So many people will join these 6-week, programs as a way to, jumpstart, kickstart. Great. I love it. But I want you to think about, okay, what happens on uh, week 7, week 8, how can I sustain this activity? Where am I going? What is this leading me to? So Stephen Covey wrote the book 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. And one of the main principles of that is begin with the end in mind. So if this 6-week thing, if it's to jumpstart, propel you to being healthier, fitter, whatever it is, I want you to run everything through that. Because if you find yourself being like, during any one of those 4 steps, then guess what? You're going to be hard pressed to sustain it. And at the end of the day, we need to create sustainable habits, because it's the habits that create the routines, and the routines that create the results. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for consistent results. And the way we get consistent results is through great habits. Okay. Sustainable habits. All right. So I'm off my soapbox on that, but I hope that sets the tone for the rest of this broadcast, because I see people, you're exercising on a regular basis. And if I were to ask you right now, what's easier for you to do, maintain an exercise program or maintain a nutrition program? The majority of you would raise your hand and be like, I can exercise all day long. Food, ooh, oh wow, right? We all kind of like the shame face, the veil of shame goes up. And I get it. We start something, we are so pumped. But what I want is like, how do we start this activity pumped, excited, vigored, if that's a word, and contain that throughout our life, right? My goal is to be able to be like in my 90s and get out of a chair unassisted and walk around unassisted and be able to do that. That's my ultimate goal. So one of the ways to keep your mojo is skip the damn rules, right? I'm raising my hand. I had a butt ton of rules. There were so many rules that I had for my workouts. They had to be 2 hours. I had to do an hour of cardio. I had to, at the end of each workout, I had to do X number of pull-ups. I had to, increase my weights. I had, my God, I don't even know how I kept all that stuff straight in my damn head, but I had a lot of flippin' rules. So instead of focusing on the supposed tos, I want you to focus on the feelings, right? Focus on what feels good in your body right now. If 2 hours is just like, whoa, then no 2 hours, right? Right now, one of my non-negotiables is I move my body for 30 minutes. And I've become very good and very efficient and very effective at working out in 30 minutes. Now, maybe you're like, yeah, I can still hang and roll at 2 hours. Great. I want you to just be like, is it something I want to do? Or do I feel like I, hashtag supposed to do, right? Quote unquote, supposed to do. It's like, where can you commit? I have one of my clients, she's a new mommy. She's worked with me for years and she's a mommy. And now it's like coming to Jesus with what it's like to try to be a fit mommy, right? So being able to go to the gym 2 hours anytime you damn well please, guess what? That don't work. Your kid is the driver of the schedule. And so we've worked really hard for her to say, I gotta reprogram myself. I gotta break up with my rules and get comfortable with my new way of life. And same for many of us in this post-corona, post-COVID world, we have to get behind what our new normal is and be okay with it and realize that, you know what, I might need to bend some of my rules so that I'm able to be happy and have a successful, healthy life. The other part is, playing with workout times. I am a hardcore AM workout person. I wake up, I get out of bed, and I have to do it. If not, I can easily, I can't tell you what I find myself doing around my house but I go down a rabbit hole and it's really hard for me to pull back up. So I always challenge my clients to find where their time is. Maybe you are that AM person. I have some people who work out at 4 a.m. Sweet Georgia Brown. No, 4 a.m. is just like way too early for me. But, 5 a.m. isn't too early for me. I have a girl who I take a spin class, and I have a girl who she literally only takes the spin class from basically April through October. And she's like, I hate getting up in the dark. And so she's like, I only can go to this class from April to roughly October when the clocks change, and then she doesn't go to the class. And I was like, interesting. Like, but she knows herself. So know yourself, know your rhythms. I teach a lot at lunchtime, and I have a lot of dedicated people who have come to my class for years at lunchtime. Like, that's their jam. Like, that's their sweet spot. So like, know what your sweet spot is. And then, I teach at 5:30 at night. I also teach at 7:30 at night. And I got to tell you, those people at 7:30 at night, I'm like, peace, love, and joy to you, because there's no way I could even think about psyching myself up to work out at 7:30 at night. Like, that's just wouldn't even occur to me to do that. So figure out what's going to be the best time for you to work out, and have gentility with yourself. We don't have gentility with ourselves. You sit there and you put yourself in this ivory tower and you just beat the tar out of yourself. You are like, oh, you should have gone to the gym. You shouldn't have eaten that brownie. You shouldn't have had that extra glass of wine. You shouldn't have done this. You. And we never, ever say to ourselves, you know what? Today was an off day. Tomorrow is going to be different. This is how tomorrow is going to be different. And it's not about, I'm not going to have anything. I'm just going to have water and saltines all day. No, it's like, hey, tomorrow's going to be a better day. And this is how it's going to go, because I'm going to go in with a plan, and I'm not going to blow myself off. Right. That's being gentle with yourself. And because I see it all the time, January 1st, I'll teach a class that first week of January, and all the resolutioners are out, and they're grabbing the heavy weights, and I teach a class that I say it's rest-based exercise, and I'll say, hey, and it's for time, and I'm like, hey, if you need to, by the fourth round, like, catch your breath before you snap back into the exercise, do it. And so many people will say to me, oh no, I got to do this. I got to get in shape, this is, whatever is my year, and I'm like, you're cruising for an injury, and you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to be like, laying in your bed like a mummy and being like, what happened? Why can't I move my body? Versus if I were to just work within my feeling, like what feels good for me right now, what feels a little challenging, versus, going straight for like the number 10 incline or whatever on the workout. You're picking up what I'm feeling. The other thing I really like is, for motivation, new stuff, right? Who doesn't like shiny objects? So new stuff could be anything. New sneakers, new workout clothes, a new playlist, maybe a new piece of fitness equipment, or maybe a piece of, if you're working out at a gym, maybe a machine that you haven't been on. I remember when the Jacob's ladder first came to our gym. Woo, sweet Georgia Brown, that thing kicks your booty. If you've never been on one, let me just tell you, give yourself only 2 minutes on that thing, because you will be like crying for your mama on it. But, trying a new class, something that just keeps your blood flow excitement going. There's a program called Class Pass, and you pay for a certain number of classes and you can go anywhere. So if you're someone who needs that variety, needs that, like, Zazazoo, that's, those are the kind of things I recommend to keep you going and going and going. As far as, also an accountability partner, right? I have had an accountability partner for multiple things, and I'm that person who was like, I'm not a joiner, right? I'm totally not that person who's like, sign me up for group activity. No, I don't usually do that. But on the times that I force myself to do accountability stuff with a peer, it's been the best thing I've ever done. I've been able to attract to me the right kind of partner. The person who isn't going to blow smoke up my skirt, the person who's going to call me out of my stuff and say, Kim, you told me this is your goal, yet you aren't living up to the part, right? And it's not being a tyrant about it. It's more like, if I said I'm committing to 3 days of working out and I keep consistently doing 2, it's that person's job to be like, Kim, so what's going on with that 3rd day? Right? That's the kind of accountability partner that you want to have, versus like, rubbing your hair and saying it's okay. Also, have that accountability partner who has similar goals, because maybe back and forth, you're like, oh, have you tried, this, and have you tried that? And they're like, oh no, but have you tried this? And you're having a back and forth dialogue, a discussion on the best ways to achieve your goals. Or maybe it's someone who works out at the same time. I have, back in the day when I was competing, this woman, Katie, and I we'd hop on the Stairmaster together, and it was great because we would just go back and forth talking about life, and that made the hour go by faster. So, think about, these running clubs, all of these other things. I'm not saying running unless you love running, because, I only run when I'm chased or trying to beat out the meter maid. So that's me in running. So, but there's plenty of other accountability groups out there. I run my Facebook group as an accountability group as well, Fit Girl Magic. So definitely hop in there, and we have no problem holding you accountable. There's a woman in there, Shaletta. I mean, this chick's a beast. She, like, every week is like religious about, this is what I did this week. This is what I did this week. And all the women in the group are like, you go. And, she inspires me, because I was like, oh, damn, I got to get on my game. Right. So that's what you want, right? You want that person who's going to, like, always inspire you to continue to be on your A game, or B- game. I also enact what I call the 5-minute rule. There's some mornings, right? I work out in the morning. There's some mornings that my body's just like, girlfriend. And part of me is like, okay, am I saying girlfriend because I just want to pull the ripcord, or is my body really saying girlfriend? So I have a rule for 5 minutes, and on those days, I legit do not change out of my pajamas. I put on my PJ. I already have my PJs on, but I put on my slippers, and I walk downstairs to my basement, and I set a timer. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 15 minutes, but I set a timer, and I was like, okay, by the time this timer goes off, if I'm feeling it, I'll do it. If I'm not feeling it, this is just going to be a day I stretch and just chill. And so just set that timer, because sometimes, there's some mornings that 5 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm going to extend it to 15. And then at 15, I'm like, yeah, it's still not working. Or sometimes at 5 minutes, I'm like, all right, that's all I needed to do was just get my blood flowing and I'm ready to rock and roll. Or maybe sometimes at 5 minutes, like, you know what, girl, just go for a walk. So I want you to really think about setting that timer so that you give yourself the opportunity before you blow yourself off. And all my workouts aren't gym based. Sometimes it's just going for a walk. A few weeks ago, I had a lot on my mind, and like the thought of lifting, I couldn't focus. I couldn't get too focused that I'm throwing weights around. So I just had to go for walks, and this went for long walks, just long walks. And for me, as long as I am moving my body for 30 minutes, box checked, right? And I came up with that because a few years ago I was traveling and I didn't know where I'd be. Well, I knew where I'd be, but I didn't want to, I was trying to break free of being that person who I always had to know exactly where the gym was, where I was going to work out with. And I was doing an experiment that could I, for 30 days, just be in flow. And, when we got there, be like, oh, they have a gym. I'll use the gym. Oh, I get there and, you've gone to a hotel and their gym looks like, something from the 80s. And you're just like, seriously, in this day and age, you can't upgrade your crap. All right. Anyway, moving on. So that's what I experiment with, just moving my body for 30 minutes. And when I move, I feel good. And that's the feeling I'm chasing when I work out. Clearly, I want to fit into my pants. That's my overarching goal. But at the end of the workout, I just want to feel good. It's also about starting small. Like, my favorite quote from Arthur Ashe is like, start where you are with what you got. All right. So start where you are, do what you can with what you have. So, I talked about earlier, my client starting out at that 6-week kickboxing class. And by like week 3, she was like, yeah, it's a lot, but I paid the money. So she like literally was gutting it out, but she didn't like it. So I want you to really start out with like, you know what? Maybe you want to build up to that 6 days a week. Great. Awesome. But maybe for you, it's like getting out in 2 days a week and feeling great. Like, you know what? I consistently for the last 30 days, I've hit my 2 days a week, 30 minutes. I feel really good. So maybe you're like, you know what? Maybe I can add that third day. All right. Or maybe it goes to 45 minutes and maybe, you've been doing 15 of strength and 15 of cardio. And maybe you're like, you know what? I can boost up the strength component of my workout. Right. So it's like starting to feel into what's next for you, but you started small. I also believe in the good, better, best methodology of setting my goals. What's a good goal? What's a better goal? What's a best goal for me? I've been really focusing on meditation lately. And so I started at 5 minutes, right? That I was like, that feels doable for me. Then I bumped it up to 10 minutes. Then my next level is 15 minutes, right? So it's just like baby stepping my way to the ultimate goal. I'm toying with if it's 15 minutes or 20 minutes, but right now 10 feels really good. 10, I feel like a winner, right? So it's like slowly going up the food chain for me versus diving into the deep end of the pool, because I know I'll be more committed when I start off small. And always ask yourself, why? Why do you want to do this? And I challenge you to make it more about than I really want to lose 10 pounds or I really want to be a size, whatever, because your goal and your why is your motivation, right? And this whole conversation is about motivation. And the reason why many people lose their motivation is that they don't have a strong why. And I'll link out in the show notes. There is a gentleman by the name of Simon Sinek, and he has made his living on telling people their why. And so it's the why is the reason behind you do it. So for me, my overarching why is that I want to fit into my pants. And so on those mornings where it's cold, it's raining, it's snowing, it just is blah, I'm just not feeling it, I will lay in bed sometimes and I will ask myself, is this getting me closer to my why? Is laying in bed getting me closer to my goal? And if I can say yes or no, it's a yes or no answer, right? It's not this, blah, 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 blah. No, yes or no. I do the same thing with food, right? If I have this extra glass of wine, is this getting me closer or away from my goal? Now, it's not for restriction. It's just a question. It's just an honest question connecting you back to your why. And the more you are able to connect to why you want to do something, the stronger chance you have of actually achieving that goal. All right. And, that's part of my daily plan, right? Is to connect to my why. And I map out my day. Now, it's not like at 8:05, I'm going to do this. And at 9:05, I'm going to do this. It's like, okay, what's going to happen? So it's like, all right, so tomorrow's Tuesday. All right, 7 a.m., I'm going to work out. 9 a.m., I have a call. 12 a.m., 12 p.m., I'm teaching a class. This is what I'm going to eat for the day. So it's like, I just kind of broad stroke what the day is going to be about. So that way it's not like, when I see people like, I don't know, the day just got away from me. I'm like, how does the day get away from you? Right. I will say that I admit there's sometimes that I like, some days I do bite off more than I can chew, but the number of days that I say, oh, the day that got away from me is very few and far between, because I go into the day mapping out, this is what's going to happen. This is what I want the day to unfold as. It's me setting my intentions for the day versus the day running me. Okay. Have a rest day, right? Have a rest day. You know, um, I have a friend who is a workoutaholic, she never takes a rest day. Like every day it's a 2 to 3 hour workout and there's never any rest. And, at some point your body's going to like scream uncle. There's going to be, sprains, strains, some other um, system in your body is going to start to fall apart when you don't have a rest day. And, there's so many people out there that I follow who were in that category of like, I must, push to the ends of the earth, push to the ends of the earth. And then, unfortunately, your body just kind of like punches you in the face and makes you slow down. So I challenge every single person here to have at least one rest day. And that rest day, it's literally, you do nothing. Like maybe you are out in your garden. Um, Maybe you're just walking around your house like a sloth, whatever it is, but you are just having a day where you just don't do a darn thing. You're not lifting, you're not pushing, you're not doing anything, because our body recovers. Our body gets the strength that you're looking for in the recovery, right? And if we are always, breaking down the muscle, we are always pushing, grinding, when does our body get a chance to recover? The best way I like to think about it, it's like our telephones, right? You can't ever think of a night that you wouldn't plug your phone in to recharge it. That's exactly what a rest day is. It's recharging your phone so that your phone can go longer the next day. So get in that rest, my loves, because I could go on and on and on about this. So I'm just going to step off my soapbox right now about rest days. Focus on the big rocks, right? So I see so many people, I call it majoring in the minors. I see so many people getting like all caught up in the minors. And so the minors for me are um like should I have a post-workout shake? Should I have BCAAs? What do you think about creatine? Should I deadlift or should I squat? Right? That's great. And all of those things should happen, but that's minutia, right? The bigger things are, am I getting enough sleep? Am I stressed to the max? Am I moving my body? Not just working out, but am I getting my 7,500, 10,000 steps in a day? Am I getting in my self-care? Then I could talk about meals, right? Then I could talk about BCAs. Then I could talk about all that. But if I'm not sleeping, I don't care how many post-workout shakes you have, you're not fully recovering your body. If I'm stressed like a crazy person, I'm not going to get all the benefits if I started deadlifting, my body weight or deadlifting a Buick. I need to start, majoring in my majors and stop doing the big things that are going to really help move that dial. So if all of this has kind of spoken to you, I am creating a exercise challenge. And so if this sounds like remotely interesting to you, do me a favor, check out the link in the show notes, because it's a 6-week challenge that is just really going to work on strength, mobility, all the things that are kind of like the big dial movers if you are looking to create a lifelong exercise program. So thanks so much for taking the time to listen, my magic makers. And I will be back with you. I'll be back with you soon. And if you like what you heard, do me a favor, head over to iTunes and rate, like, and subscribe this podcast. Thanks so much and have an amazing day.